Welcome to the Blood Angels Commander channel.
Greetings, brothers. Good evening. Hello, how's everybody doing? Please give me a shout out if you can hear me okay. I've had loads of problems with my sound card the last couple of days. I just reinstalled the drivers, so hopefully you hear me fine. Good evening as well to everyone that's here. Jeff, James, Michael, Daniel. Nice to see you guys. Mike's in here. Lunda's in here. Life RPG. I'm coming down with a bit of a sickness at the moment, so if I have to stop, like maybe one list early today, I might do that. Depends how I'm feeling. James says just to let. Sorry, no. Jeffrey says, do you message people ahead of time to let them know if their list's featured? No, at the start of the stream, I just tell them who's up. This week it is Bravidus, Dark Assassin, Doug Beard, James Russell, Major Paint. And then next week, at the moment, we've got Zud Dog, CJ Williams, and Jeffrey. If you want to submit a list, it's very easy. All you have to do is go over to the YouTube page for Blood Angels Commander, which is YouTube.com/C/Blood Angels Commander. Click on Community, and in the latest Community tab, just here, this would be where you just put your list as a comment from Battlescribe. I sound kind of down. I think it's just my throat, man. My daughter was ill on Friday, so I think I'm a little bit ill now. But yeah, no, I mean, I kind of feel fine, except like, stuffy. Okay, Jacob says, question, anyone else see some old models returning for a limited time? Yeah, I mean, Games Workshop had it was on the Games Workshop store. Like, I looked at it yesterday. There's like made to order like old Space Marines at the moment, right? How do I get past this? Oh, is that it there? Made to order? Yeah. So there's like classic Space Marines to order at the moment. I assume these are all metal models, because the detail on them, like they don't show any pictures of any sprues, right? So like this will just be a single metal piece that probably sits into a base. I actually don't own any of these. Like, not a one. But Firstborn Marine sort of standard librarians or captains aren't super attractive, I guess. Like, in the current meta, I don't know, is anyone picking up any of these made to order ones? The only one that's maybe interesting, I guess, would be maybe Librarian Terminator Armor. He looks like he might be plastic. But I don't know. Maybe they're fine cast. Good evening, Stefan. Yeah, they're likely resonant matter. Okay, so let's get straight into it. We're looking at army lists. We're starting with Bravidus. And was there something else to say about army lists? Yeah, I think the next thing I'm doing is I'm going to try and make a new list. I'm probably going to try and build a new list in the next couple of days. Maybe I'm going to take it on Wednesday. This can be very different from my last tournament list. I got 7 weeks till my next GT, so I need to figure it out. Good evening, Stephen. How you doing? I might get the Firstborn Librarian and use an old jump pack. Yeah, I mean, you could do that. That's probably the most attractive thing there. Some of those old Firstborn, but you can buy Firstborn Librarians anyway. If you are going to take a Firstborn Librarian, Corey and Mike, I think Force Sword is the best choice now, right? With Armor of Contempt being a thing. Like, I think you want the AP. So, like, I don't particularly like the axe or the staff, because the staff has literally 1 AP and the axe is 2. So I think you're best off with the Force Sword. That Terminator Librarian is resin, says John. Alright, cool. I've got there's an actual... Do they still sell the... They must still sell it. I don't think they discontinued it. There used to be like a Blood Angels Terminator Librarian. Oh, this guy? I'm gonna have to go settle my daughter. I'll be right back. Um, yeah, this is the one that I bought, and then after buying it, because I mean, it's nice he's got a melter gun, I guess, combi melter. What's the other one got? That made to order one. He's got the Stormbolter. So I guess this one's nice because it's got the combi melter, and I suppose the cool thing I liked about the Blood Angels one, if I can get back there. This axe is actually pretty cool with a Blood Angels thingy on it. But what I did was I actually snipped it here and stuck the top of a Sanguinary Guard sword on it. Because I think swords are better. But it's a cool looking axe and it's a cool axe head. I actually have no idea where I've put that axe head now, but I think cool to have it, I guess. Mathhammer says Librarian with a sword is the best. Yep, if you're running him to actually get into combat, take Mephiston. Yeah, I mean, Mephiston's better in combat, I guess, but like he doesn't have the same move as a jump pack librarian. He doesn't have the reliability of a psychic mastery. So Mephiston is random. Rizio loves the Terminator model. I used to love that Terminator model. Do you remember right at the start of 9th edition where you could take you could use that relic to take like wings? I used to always run my Terminator with wings and then null zone. It was pretty fun until they FAQ'd it, I guess. Okay, so Bravidus's list. We've got Mephiston, Quickening, Unleash Rage Wings. These are fine. Quickening can sometimes be switched out for Blood Boil, but I don't think Blood Boil is actually that reliable, so I think this is probably the best way to build Mephiston. Dante is the Warlord, and he's got a Heroic Bearing. I don't know if I don't think you need Heroic Bearing on Dante. +1 leadership, increases his aura to 9 inches. I mean, I just think you position him well and use Chapter Master rerolls, and you don't necessarily need to spend the command point on him. We've got Squad of Incursors. We've got Death Company with 4 hammers. We've got Sanguinary Guard with 4 axes, an Infernal Pistol, and a sword. Probably like to see you lean a little bit heavier on swords. And then we've got Eliminators with the sniper rifles, which I don't like. I think they're much better with the las fusils. I think if you want to run snipers, you need 2 squads of them, because 1 squad of them is very, very, very unlikely to kill a character in a turn or 2 turns, even. I think you need 2 squads of snipers. They all need to hit the same target, and then maybe you can put pressure on a character. I don't think you can do that with 1 squad of eliminators. And then you got Eradicators with the melt rifles. Okay, I mean, it seems like a fine enough 1,000-point list. I made a video a little while ago on the best 1,000-point list that I could make. I'm going to pull that up because I just want to compare the two. I made this one. Competitive 1,000-point Nephilim list. What did I give? So I took Dante. I took a priest, actually, over Mephiston. I guess on 1,000 points you probably want to get into Assault Doctor and earlier, so the priest probably is a better shout here than Mephiston. I took the same Thunderhammers. I took similar Sanguinary Guard, but a little bit more focus on the swords, which I think we can all agree are better right now because of the extra AP. Am I feeling okay after the wild turkey? Yeah, I'm feeling good. In terms of like, I only had one wild turkey, and that was 2 nights ago. So, I think I just have a little bit of a flu or something coming down. And then I took a couple of land speeders, and then I did take the last few eliminators, as I said. 2 land speeders against a squad of eradicators. Um, I think I prefer the land speeders, honestly. I mean, it's kind of similar points, 170 versus, sorry, 140 versus 135. Land speeders give you more board control, they give you relentless assault, they give you engage on all fronts, they can very quickly get into half range. So this isn't a terrible 1,000 point list, but yeah, I mean, I think I would prefer 2 land speeders over a squad of eradicators. I think I probably would also prefer Sangry Priest over Mephiston on 1,000 points. I mean, it really comes down to like Death Company with hammers feel like they get a lot of benefit from the Sangry Priest, right? I mean, Mephiston can give them exploding sixes, but with Chapter Master rerolls and the Sangry Priest, I think that's kind of why you get. That's kind of how you get the most damage, right? Captain Rilo says he's an auto take dude. Who's an auto take? Sorry, Rilo. I had to drop Visage for extra CP with my ancient runs right with Wrath. An ancient with Wrath is very good as well. I think you can put rights on other characters though. It doesn't have to be on an ancient. It can work quite well on the Sangry Priest. It can work. What's exploding sixes? It's the psychic power Mephiston gives Unleash Rage. You cast it on a core unit. It's got a warp charge of 6. When they make an attack in combat, every 6 grants an additional hit. So, yeah, I mean, like, if you have the Death Company without Assault Doctrine, you're like, what would it be? 4 attacks per model? Yeah. And in your Assault Doctrine, it's 5 attacks per model. So it's like 16 attacks at -2 with potential exploding sixes, or 20 attacks at -3. And if you have 16 attacks, then the chance of getting sixes are, I guess, about 3. So it's not terrible, I suppose. It's just, and I suppose you can play adaptive strategy on the Death Company in turn 1 to put them into Assault Doctrine. It's going to cost you 2 CP, though, combined with a Forlorn Fury for 1 CP. All right, you guys are talking from Discord. Okay. Good evening, Adabort. Good evening. Yeah. Hey, thanks for subscribing, Alfredo. We don't see too many people subscribe during live streams these days. I appreciate it. So this is a fine enough 1,000 point list. I guess you could iterate on it based on the one that I made. I'm not saying the one that I made is perfect. I suppose you could also put Quake Bolts into your list as well. Put it on the one of the Eliminators to make the +1 to hit for the Death Company's hammers. Could be worth it. Oh, you've got Quake Bolts up here on in cursors? Strange. It's going to be more reliable in those Eliminators for their BS2 plus, right? I tend to see the incursors more as a forward deploy action unit / turn 1 charge unit, as opposed to Quake Bolts, but that's fine. Adaptive strategy is really expensive now, John. Like, you used to be able to do it when you could start with, like, when you were starting the game with, like, 12 CP. I feel like adaptive strategy was easy to use. Now I think it's very rare that you're ever going to have a list that can both Forlorn Fury and adaptive strategy, and then potentially have like 2 CP for a counter interrupt early in the game, or like a smoke screen early in the game on a vehicle or something. Like I feel like adaptive strategy has kind of priced itself out now. which is probably why I'm going back to running a priest. I haven't run the priest for a little while, so my next list is going to include the priest. All right, so that's the first 1,000-point list. Not bad. Second list, Dark Assassin. He's a list for the army show. I wanted to try and have a list with decent amount of shooting to cover my melee. Use Mephiston for Blade of Sanguinius, Cheap Poison for backfield object holding, and then Cursors for raised banners. Okay, interesting. Mephiston on the Blade of Sanguinius feels risky. I played it at the tournament I was just at. Yeah, I always get really low viewership on Twitch. I guess it's because I put everything onto YouTube Bitstorm, but thank you so much for watching. At some point, maybe I'll have some Twitch exclusive streams that I haven't done that yet. Alright, so we've got an Agent of Imperium Voidsman. I'd be tempted to pay the extra 8 points and make this a 6-man squad, just because the 6-man will guarantee Retrieve Nat 1 data, if you ever needed to do that. We've got Mephiston. He hasn't mentioned the powers, but Quicken and Unleash Rage and Wings seem to be the key. He's got Dante as the Warlord, but he hasn't taken Heroic Bearing. I think that's the right choice. We've got the Sanguinary Priest with the Rites of War and the Teeth of Terra. Okay. I mean, Teeth of Terra gives him some damage, because normally he has no damage. And Rites of War is brilliant. It's one of the best powers we can have right now. I generally think that you should always include Rites of War, and I like it on a priest. I think it can be okay on the ancient. I think it can be okay on a captain if you're not running Dante. Yeah, so I think that's all. This is all fine. I'm still not in love with Dante. I think he dies too quickly in tournament play, or in high level play, maybe is a better way of describing it. Like, at the tournament I was at, the Harlequins player was able to snipe Dante from the, not in my list, from the other Blood Angels player. It really hurt him as well. So get Captain Rilo on the channel. Well, you know, we're gonna get a few more people on the channel over time. I'm gonna start a new series, I think, called Meet the Member, and we're gonna get everybody that's a channel member on there eventually. Maybe, if they want to be on, I guess. Because I had a member on for the first time the other night. It's recorded. I need to edit it and get it up, but probably go out sometime this week, maybe. See if people like it. If nobody likes it, then we won't do it. But if I was thinking it might be more like a community type thing, because like this channel is very much a community of people, so I thought it would be nice for people to put faces to names and stuff like that. So I guess we'll see. I haven't recorded the tank video for you yet, Mike. I will though. Oh, 100% will. Okay. Alright, Assault Intercessors and Cursors. Then the company champion. We don't often see a company champion these days who's got Armor Indomitus and Imperium Sword. Okay, interesting. He's paid the extra 15 points to make him into the chapter champion. Imperium Sword's given him +1 attack, +1 +1 attack, and reroll charges. I wonder if he'd have been better using his Martial Exemplar trait. It's been a while since we looked at the chapter champion. Martial Exemplar is the one where it's reroll charges in an aura for core units, right? Martial Exemplar. No, that's not it. Where is it? Yeah, core and characters within 6 can reroll charges. So you would get 1 less attack, but I assume the chapter champion is being reserved because I don't really know how you deliver him particularly well into the battlefield. I also don't know if I like spending 2 CP on him, because he's not that survivable. He's only got like 4 wounds and toughness 4. I guess he's got... What's it say for the chapter champion? he just on a 3-up save, or is he chapter champion? He's an elite choice as well, right? Yeah, he's on a 3-up save. Alright, so Armor Indomitus has given him a 2-up save. And I guess he's just got Mastercrafted Power Sword. He does have a 6-inch Heroic Intervention. I kind of forget that he's got that. I mean, he could be cool for Rites of War, actually, with a 6-inch Heroic Intervention, you know that? He can fight first into characters as well. Okay. We don't see the chapter champion much. I mean, he does do damage. I just don't know how you deploy him, really. Yeah, I know what member is slang for, but tough shit, that's what it's going to be called. Take care, Rilo. Thanks so much for hanging out. So if you're going to reserve them with your assault intercessors, I'd be really tempted to change Imperium Sword out for Martial Exemplar so that both units can reroll or charge. Okay, you got the Thunderhammer Death Company with an Infernal Pistol. You got Redemptor with the Frag Storms, the back row. The Onslaught Cannon. I think the Frag Storms is the wrong choice because they have less range than a Stormbolter and you can't ever shoot them in combat. So why not just use a Stormbolter? And if you're in half range of the Stormbolter, then you get double the number of shots. Well, it's 2 Stormbolters, isn't it? So you get 8 shots. Yeah, so I don't love the Fragstorm rocket launcher. I think you're just better off with a Stormbolter. 7 and 8 Sanguinary Guard. Swords mainly throughout. Infernal Pistol in both. It's fine. Last Fusel Eliminators with the Instigator Bolt Carbine. Eradicators, the Melt Rifle. Whirlwinds. Alright. This is a good list, I think. Eliminators, Eradicators, and Redemptor for the fire support. Whirlwind for Fight Last. 2 squads of Sanguinary Guard, 1 squad of Death Company. Dante Mephiston and the Priest with Rights. I think the only thing that the only thing I don't like, potentially, and it's maybe minor, is that you've got 4 characters. But like, when I look at the number of characters, part of it really comes down to how much points you're spending on characters. Because you do have this super cheap character, and these ones aren't too over. You know, like sometimes people have like 4 characters and it's costing 600 points. You're under 500 here. You're like 495, so you're right on the border of how many characters I'd be okay with. You've got Chapter Master rerolls, you've got potential exploding 6s, you've got Assault Doctrine, so that Death Company can get the crap buffed out of them. You've got some good fire support. You've got the Fight Last. The only other thing that I think that I might like in this list... Oh, and I forgot, you've got Voidsman at Arms as well for holding objective. The only thing that I think that you might like, and I don't know where you can fit it in, is Soul Warden. Because I think Soul Warden and Rites of War are the 2 most important Warlord traits that we can take in competitive play. The only way you could really fit it in is you'd have to swap Dante out for a Soul Warden type character. Or Mephiston, I guess either of them could be. The advantage, I suppose, of Dante is that +1 CP, but like... Yeah, I don't like Dante, man. I really wish that they would update him. I don't think he's survivable. And like some people say, yeah, that's not the point in him, but yeah, I mean, 165 point character to hide behind a wall isn't great either, in my opinion. Okay, so yeah, like it would be nice if you could have Soul Warden. I mean, you could probably cut like 1 Sanguinary Guard here. I don't think you need squads of 8. You know, 7s typically do fine. Pricey says Dante is overcosted for what he does. I think they Games Workshop think that the fact he can do that free deed and they get his extra CP makes him much better than he actually is. I think it's okay. So you could drop one Sanguinary Guard, but I don't know what you would do with those 30 points. I guess you could throw a multi-melta into your Eradicator squad. That might be worth it. You could throw the multi-melta into the Eradicator squad. You could add that extra Voidsman at arms. How much does it cost for a multi-melta in an Eradicator squad? It must be like 30 points, right? Or sorry, 20 points. 10 points. Okay, so you could add your 6th Voidsman at arms, so you can guarantee that they can perform some actions. You could add a multi-melta, and then that would leave you 10 points. And then you could probably put like an Infernal Pistol into one more squad of the... Yeah, put an Infernal Pistol into one squad, so you've got like 2 squads of Sanguinary Guard, one with 2 Infernals, one with 1. And then you could probably put the rocket pods on the Redemptor. That's probably what I would do. The way I do it is at the moment anyway, I'm playing 2 squads of Sanguinary Guard, and the one that starts on the board has 2 Infernal Pistols, and the one that starts in reserve has just 1. And my logic behind that is 1 Infernal Pistol can usually miss, or fail to wound, I suppose. So if you have 2, you add a little bit of reliability to the one that starts on the board. I do always reserve my Assault Intercessors, usually, and I usually put something else into reserve with them as well for the 1 CP. And I do actions or something like that. This isn't a bad list at all. My next list is not going to be a million miles away from this. It's going to be, like a couple of squads of Sanguinary Guard and a Death Company, and I'm probably going to build my next list tomorrow night or something. And I might even video me doing it, because try and like give out all my thoughts as I'm doing it. But yeah, I mean this isn't bad at all. It's minor things you could tweak here. I think the main thing that stands out at me is that Imperium sword pick. A 9-inch charge with a reroll. A 9-inch charge isn't reliable. Even with a reroll, it's not reliable. So you want the champion and the Assault Intercessors to both make their charge. So switch this out. That's what I think. Ever use the Reaper Carrier Laser Destroyer as a long-range anti-tank? Cheapest high damage at long range and Marines have. The Rapier Cannon Laser Destroyer. I do have a Rapier Cannon. Like the old Forge World one. That's manned by the Tech Marine, but like I never use it. Where is it these days? Would it not be heavy support? No? Where is Rapier Cannon? I really thought it would be heavy support. Oh, Rapier Carrier. It's not called Cannon, it's Rapier Carrier. I mean, I guess for 110 points, yeah, it does damage. For sure. D3 plus 3. But T5, wounds 5, 3 up save. I might... If I was going to run a Rapier Cannon, I might be tempted to run... Sorry, if I was going to run something like that, I'd probably be tempted to run a Gladiator Lancer. Because they keep bringing the Lancer down in points, right? It's got T8, it's got 12 wounds, it's got 72-inch range, it's got the same 10 minus 3, and it's only like 40 points more. So I feel like probably those 40 points, it means it could survive an extra turn or something, and toughness 5, 5 wounds, well, that can be killed by a single shot from a las cannon, I guess. I mean, I don't hate the damage output, I just don't know if it's very survivable. For me, when I'm playing, I always look at survivability as like one of the most important things. Because if the things are dead, then they're worthless too, right? The Thunderstrike Speeder is the best of the 3. Ballistic Skill 2+. The Thunderstrike is swingy though, right? Because all its weapons do d6 damage. Vindicator Laser Destroyer is better than a Lancer. I mean, I guess it depends on range, right? Laser Destroyer gives you more shots, but half the range. So if you, I'm not gonna be able to find this either. I'm at Vindicator Laser Destroyer basically on it. Yeah, and I suppose the Vindicator, if you don't move it, then you do more damage as well. Yeah, I mean, Lancer isn't completely terrible considering it's 25 points cheaper. It's got one more wound. Got double the range. I guess it depends on if you want to sit out with your opponent's range, then the Lancer is better, I guess. Are Terminators ever used in 1,000 points games? Says Jacob. I mean, sometimes Terminators are probably good in a 1,000-point game because the table is a little bit smaller, and the problem with Terminators is they're slow. Do we have anything that gets around the wound cap? Says Living Ghost. No, but I mean, you can take a site like as a Space Marine player, those wound caps are per phase, right? So like if you think of a Catan where it can only take 3 per phase, you can do 3 in the psychic, you can do 3 in the shooting, and then you can do 3 in the combat phase. So although we don't have ways of getting around the wound caps, we can kill most things in a single turn if we're smart. Or if we have enough okay. Alright, Dark Assassin, I hope I gave you some good thoughts. We're going to move on. Please leave a comment in the chat if you've got anything else to say. I think Blood Angels are decently survivable, says Stephen. Yes. At the same time, I think if you practice moving combat and imagine Blood Angels glass cannons, you might see more value in Dante. I just don't see value in a toughness 4 character that has 6 wounds for 165 points. So like I said, like he can get picked. He can get picked off really, really easily. I've seen it happen in plenty of games that I've played. I've seen it happen in plenty of games that other people have played. I just don't like it. And the thing is, like, toughness 4, no access to transhuman or anything like that. Like, it's really annoying actually that firstborn Marines have no stratagems that improve their survivability. Because we used to be able to, I think in 8th edition, we used to be able to play transhuman on any unit. It didn't have to be Primaris. Alright, Doug. This is my list of new Blood Angels player at my local game store. I usually play against Space Wolves, 1,000 Suns, Knights, and Sisters at 1k points, but I'm looking to expand to 2,000 points. Alright, cool. And Doug is a channel member. He's a newer member, so this should be interesting. Welcome to the channel, and thanks for the support, Doug. I do appreciate it. Alright, so you've got a Chaplain with the Litany of Faith, giving you those mortal wound shrugs. He's the Master of Sanctity. He also has Rites of War. Interesting. Okay, and he has a jump pack, right? Yeah, okay. Jump Chaplain. And then you've got Dante as the Warlord, so you're getting +1 CP from that. Fine. And this is a patrol detachment, yeah? Because Assault Intercessors and Incursors, you don't need 2 troop choices in a patrol, but I guess it's good to have them for OBSEC. You got the Death Company with 4 hammers, which seems to be very common now. The only other build I think around there is you can go with Infernal Pistol Power Sword build, which I think is good as well. You got a very small squad of Sandguard here, 4-man squad, which I definitely don't love. 4 Sanguinary Guard to me feel like a little small, even if it is just 1,000 points. You then have Las Fusel Eliminators and Melter Rifle Eradicators, and that's 3 CP. Okay. Yeah. I guess having the 2 troop choices. I was going to say, in a 1,000-point game, maybe this needs to be double Eliminators. So that saves you 60 points and you can add 2 more Sanguinary Guard here. Because I think 4 Sangry Guard is really small. I mean, it's okay in a 1,000-point game, but I think it'd be much stronger if it was a 6. And I think 2 Eliminator squads with Alas Fusils would be good for 1,000 points. I think it would give you board control that you need. Eradicators are fine. Don't get me wrong, they're fine. But like, I think you want to lean into the fast-moving jump pack units, especially if you're running Dante on a jump pack chaplain. Just use Eliminators and cover to hold the backfield. That's how I would do it. Yeah, Dante dies on the tabletop. You just make it a tactical death. Yeah, I mean that's fine. I'm just not going to spend 165 points on a character that I expect to die when I can build one that won't die for the same 165 points, right? Like that's where the line gets drawn for me. Like, why would I spend 165 points to die when I can spend 165 points to live? And yeah, I mean, I guess I can hide Dante behind obscuring terrain for the whole game, but like, surely at some point, then that just becomes 165 points of nothingness. I don't know. I really hope Dante gets a refresh. I hope he gets some sort of shrug against mortal wounds. I could go on all day about how I don't like him. All right, so what's this down here? This is another 1,000-point list, is it? From Doug as well. The only thing I can't, I think so. He's iterate on his list to try and make like a second list to see what we think. I think you buy Tabletop Simulator from Steam. Price 586. I don't have it though, but a few people use it from Steam. All right, so it's the same. It's the same chaplains. It's the same troops, same death company, same sanguine guard. This one has a squad of Outriders. No, I'm going to stick by what I said. Outriders are not great. They really... I suppose if you don't want to go 2 Eliminator squads, you could go 1 Landspeeder, 1 Eliminator squad. Try and make this a 6-man Sanguine Guard. I have 6 Outriders, man, and I don't run any of them. And it's sad because they're a very cool model. They just needed some weapon options and they needed a little bit more damage output. They were pretty poor. At one point, there were 120 points for the squad, and that was before Armor of Contempt, and I thought they were pretty poor then, so 135 points. I'm not going to love them. Yeah. That's that. Alright, I mean, we're smashing through these lists today, so maybe we're going to pull a couple more. We'll see how we get on these last 2. I didn't realise 2 of them were 1,000-point lists. Okay. If Outriders drop 5 points per model and could be taken in squads of 3 to 6, yeah, they're totally inflexible as well. You make a good point, Turkey. Like, I don't see why Outriders need to be 3 only. There's no flexibility in the squad size. I really think the Sergeant should have been able to take a special weapon. And then another thing I think, like, if you look at the squat bikes, and maybe I shouldn't be comparing against squats, but they are the new hotness. The squat bikes get OBSEC. If the Outriders had OBSEC, and the squat bikes are 30 points per model, of course. I don't have the squat book in front of me, but the squat bikes at 30 points per model felt very, very good. Andrew says, real quick question, was wondering your opinion on losing the Leviathan Dreadnought as a fire support. I've tried it a few times, Andrew. If you don't have a Tech Marine in your list, and obviously because he's not core the Leviathan, then it depends. If you take, like, I think a Leviathan is strongest when they have like a melee arm, and I think the drill is really, really strong on the Leviathan, right? I know you get 1 extra attack with the claw, but like the drill is like crazy damage. Yeah, 2d3 damage, and against vehicles it's 6. So I guess like the drill is going to average 4 damage, and it's going to do 6 into vehicles. and you are going to get 6 attacks on the charge, right? So like potentially the drill can do 36 damage. And it's -4, so again, when you go into Assault Doctrine, it's -5, so it's really good into Armor of Contempt units as well. So like, whenever I want to run a Leviathan Dreadnought, I always feel like I have to take the drill, like it's a no-brainer. Like, actually, last time I took my Leviathan Dreadnought with the drill, he actually killed Gilliman, and the drill was the reason he killed Gilliman, right? So then your choices are really only one arm can be guns. So the Gravflux to me seems like the best choice because it's kind of like the Plasma and the Redemptor, but it doesn't suffer from D6. It's heavy 2D3, which is more reliable. But because it doesn't have core, the reality is it doesn't feel that reliable. The Storm Cannon got nerfed really badly. It used to be like heavy 10 and -2. Well, now into Armor of Contempt, it's essentially no EP. So I find Leviathans have fallen away a bit. The Volkites on them are okay, but like it's not amazing. If you're running Leviathan Dreadnought without a Tet Marine, I guess it just felt like to me it's not amazing. They used to be so good as well. Alright, James says, this is my attempt at a list for an upcoming charity event at Warhammer World. I'm a brand new player and I've only really played a few Crusade games. Cool. Sangwig Armor WYSIWYG as a friend that helped me when removing models. Hence the loadout is the same for the Ancient. Okay, I do have a Crusader Knight that I was tempted to use instead. I'd probably stay away from the Knight just because of the 3 CP cost to include it. I also have the rest of a Combat Trollbox and Elite Edition. Plus 3 Blade Guards, some Eradicators, Chattel a bike, Furioso, Live Dread, and see some instant changes in make. The Captain was inspired by you and it's Kitbash from the new style bike. I have watched and rewatched your tier lists and used proxy Vanguard vets with shields and claws and bits from other videos. So here's a list before the event in October. Oh, cool. I like it when I get to lists in time for people's tournaments. It sucks when the queue's too long and I don't get to them. The Leviathan does look really cool. I guess it's just the core hurts it. But then here's the thing, right? If you actually think about it, beyond like a Land Raider, which let's face it, no one's going to take a Land Raider. I mean, maybe there's an edge case or something where you could take a Land Raider. I don't. The only way I could see you take a Land Raider maybe would be to like put 5 Death Company inside it. Turn 1, you just drive Land Raider forward 10 inches. Turn 2, that gives you a great base for the Death Company to come out and charge whoever the hell they want to charge, I guess. But like, out with a Land Raider, the Leviathan is literally the most survivable thing that we can field as Blood Angels, right? Because it's got a 2 up Armor of Contempt save, it's got 5 up Invulnerable save, it's got Duty Eternal for -1 damage, and you can Armor of Contempt it, like the Armor of Contempt Stratagem for 1 CP, which gives it a 5 up Shrug against mortals. So, if you're looking for something like that is a distraction card effects, you know, something that's going to walk across the board and seem quite scary, I guess put a drill on your Leviathan and just start marching it towards the enemy, because like they can't. In some ways, that's similar to like people running these big blobs of Centurions. They can't ignore it, right? Because if they get charged by a Leviathan Dreadnought, which has 6 attacks and each one can do 6 damage, that's hell a lot of damage. You know, like I said, like I killed Gilliman with my one the last time I played it. And I guess it's the same with that Centurion build, right? Like they can't ignore the Centurions walking across the middle of the board, because if you get charged by even 2 Centurions or something, you know, it's 9 attacks and their strength 10, and Centurions are the same. They're like -5. I feel like Centurions are -5 once you get to Assault Doctrine, right? I mean, Centurions are very rarely going to be able to get to the opponent before Assault Doctrine because they only move 5 inches a turn. So yeah, you know, 2 Centurions or Leviathan Dreadnought are going to do an absolute boatload of damage, right? Quake Bolts pairs really nicely with Leviathan and Centurions as well. But I mean, I guess it's just figuring it out. Alright, we've got a Captain on a bike for 125 points. He has Hammer of Baal, and he's the Warlord. Okay. So, I'd be really tempted to either give this guy Still Warden for 1 CP or Rites of War for 1 CP. I like Rites of War on him so much because I think being on the bike, having that extra wound, and extra toughness is pretty nice compared to. Yeah. Okay, then we get the Priest, who is the Selfless Healer, and he's the Chief Apothecary. Cool. 2 Incursors and an Infiltrator squad, and Infiltrators are running their Helix Gauntlet, so the first wound per turn can be ignored. Well, it doesn't ignore the first wound, it just makes it 0 damage. DTM wishes Leviathans were toughness 8. I mean, yeah, they're T7. I think they work. I think they just probably work better in other chapters where you take a Tech Marine. For Blood Angels, it's a tough call to take it. Like, we need our Priest because there's no other real way to get stuff in Assault Doctor and early, right? So it's like we need to have the Priest, which usually means we can't take the Tech Marine as well. We then have the Ancient. Oh, you've got Rites of War here. Okay, cool. So we got an Ancient with Rites of War. We got the Death Company with 5 hammers. We've got the Redemptor with the rocket pods, the Stormbolters, and the macro. You haven't mentioned that it's got the Onslaught cannon rather than Flamer, but I would assume that that's what. Yeah, I assume that you want Onslaught here. We get the Sanguinary Guard 7-man, swords, axes, 1 Infernal Pistol. If you can lean more into swords, you said your guys were WYSIWYG. I guess that's fine. Axes are a bit weaker right now. Again, more axes. So 3 squads of Sanguinary Guard, all 7s. Cool. Inceptors with the plasmas. Eliminators with the last Fusils and the Quake bolts. And the Sergeant with the carbine. And he'll try and catch live show, but he has kids, same as me. Oh, there you are, James. Hello, how you doing? Oh, and you have put the Onslaught on. Alright, cool. So 3 squads of Sanguinary Guard, the Death Company, the Ancient, the Redemptor. I mean, all that is good. The Inceptors and the Eliminators is fairly standard and good as well. The Priest, the Hammer of Baal. Yeah, so the Inceptors, obviously, to get value out of them, they need to land within 6 inches of the captain, right? So you have the potential to reroll 1s. The Hammer of Baal captain. I was going to say, if your captain goes Armor Indomitus rather than Hammer of Baal, you make him like so much. I think you make him quite a bit more survivable, right? Because you go from a 3-up save to a 2-up save. You get an extra wound, which puts him on 7 wounds, and gives him that 1 turn of 3-up, feel no pain. Sorry, 3-up. 3-up invulnerable save once per game that you can use at your will. So this captain is quite, I guess, a damaging captain. I think, personally, I prefer the survivability captain. And yeah, I mean, I think if you just, the way I see it is if you survive 1 extra turn, then potentially you've already done more damage. Sorry, what are you guys talking about? Time off? Oh, did I say time off on something? Time off just means like off work, I guess. Like if I said time off, like I would mean like I'm not at work. I have time off work, like my day job, I guess. I don't know what context that is. I think chat is lagging a little bit tonight for me. I I would lose one Sanguinary Guard, probably. And I would lose one Thunderhammer out of the Death Company. And what that would give me is 45 points. What I would use those 45 points for is to make this Chapter Master. This Captain on the Bike, the Chapter Master, and I'd also pay the other 5 points and give him an Infernal Pistol. I think the Infernal Pistol probably would make up for any damage you potentially lose by not having the Hammer of Baal. Because, you know, Infernal Pistol tends to hit on 2s, wounds on like a 2 or a 3 because it's strength 8. It's -4 or -5. Oh, you take time off to play a 3K game? Yeah, I don't know. I've not played... We used to play crazy size games back in the old edition, like 3K games, 5K games. I guess the editions were different back then, though. I've never played 3K of 9th. Yeah, I would give the captain the chapter master rerolls, and I think chapter master rerolls, especially when you've got like all this, can be really valuable because you can't have all 3 Sanguinary Guard within 6 inches of the chapter master, right? Or the captain, right? Or your warlord. Because when the Sanguinary Guard are within 6, they get +1 to hit, and they would reroll 1s, right? So you've got 3 squads. You're not going to have all 3 there. So the idea is that you use the Chapter Master points to give it to the squad that's not with him. Likewise, in turn 1, if there's no charges to be made, Chapter Master rerolls can help a lot on a dreadnought, like a Redemptor. Rerolling all failed misses on like those plasmas. Again, and if your Inceptors drop down, they need to fuck off and go somewhere else. Then I think the Chapter Master points is worth it. So yeah, I would run 1 squad of Sanguinary Guard as 6 and run 4 Thunderhammers in the Death Company. Mike, I don't know why you want me to play Dante, man. I don't like him. Like it's as simple as that. Like I don't think a toughness 4 character, like in the current meta, they're just not survivable. Especially like if they've got no shrug against mortal wounds and stuff like that, you know? You've got that, what is it, the Winged Hive Tyrant that basically does 5 mortal wounds every time he charges. You know, like, ugh. You wouldn't take him in a larger game? I just think that, like, so the tournament that I was just at, my MVP at that tournament was my captain on a bike who was running Soul Warden and Rites of War. So all the Sanguinary Guard with him are OBSEC, and all the Sanguinary Guard with him shrug mortals on a 5. Like, yes, that cost me some more CP than Dante, but like I don't even put those 2 things on the same playing field. You know, like I was playing against Harlequins that can do 6 mortal wounds with 1 power. So like with Dante, well, great, I just take 6 mortal wounds on my Sanguinary Guard, or maybe I can shrug half of them with a little bit of luck. Because of the bike captain, right? Like those 2 things are just not in the meta that we have right now. There are a lot of factions that can do a lot of mortal wounds. Marines don't do mortal wounds really, and Marines were right early in the edition when mortal wounds weren't really popular, or you know, Marines barely do any mortal wounds. You know, if you think of the things that came after us, you know, like you've got the flyers for the AdMech that was like roll 10 dice on every 4 up, it's a mortal wound, so they were doing 5 mortal wounds. You can take 2 of the flyers. Orcs have those characters every time they charge on a 4 up, it's D3 mortal wounds, you know. It's not really like I get that you want me to like Dante, but it's not gonna happen. And unless they give you some sort of, and I think they should probably I think in the future they should probably remove some of the requirements on those, like, like, why does Dante have to have rights of war? Could he not have Soul Warden? Yeah. But I love the bike captain that I'm running at the moment with rights of war and Soul Warden, and I think in terms of like trying to win a tournament, those two things are invaluable. And I guess like if I'm gonna run Mephiston, then I can't take either of those two things. And if I'm gonna run a priest, the priest for me, the priest is a really squishy character. Like 4 wounds, a 3-up save. So like if the enemy can hit him with like power swords or an infernal pistol or anything like that, he's just gonna die straight away. There's nothing you can do about that. So I'm okay with the priest having rights of war if he's like being played quite defensively, right? I played Thousand Suns yesterday. They did 40 mortal wounds into my army. Yeah, I mean, in one turn, right? So, like, Soul Warden at that point, Soul Warden's the only chance you have in that game, right? Um, if you, if you're up into, that's why, like, if you look at the top Blood Angels lists right now, they'll be running 2 bubbles of Feel No Pain. They'll be running the Priest's bubble of Feel No Pain for infantry, and they'll be running Soul Warden on another character. And it's kind of as simple as that. Like, if you want to compete at the highest level, I think that's what you have to have. You need Soul Warden somewhere on the board. You need another Feel No Pain, arguably not quite as good, but still Feel No Pain on the board as well. And the other great thing about Soul Warden is it doesn't give a shit about core or characters or anything like that. It's just Soul Warden is everybody, um, which quite often, like if you took Litany of Faith on a chaplain, then it's core and characters. You're saying, yeah, no mortal wound protection is bad. It's not unplayable, but like I don't think you'll win an event with it because you'll get to like a gatekeeper list that can shit out 20 mortal wounds in the psychic phase, and if you've got no protection and you're just going to take 20 mortal wounds every psychic phase, then you're going to lose the game. Those Turnid lists with the Zonothropes and the Malceptors and the Neurothropes and then the Hive Tyrants with their mortal wound output, like without Soul Warden, I think without 2 bubbles of protection there, I think Blood Angels don't have any chance. So yeah, I mean, I guess you can run Dante. You can run another character that has Soul Warden and then the Priest. I guess that would be fine. But in my case, where I'm going to run Mephiston, then I'm fucked. I can't run Dante, Mephiston, and a Priest because then I've got no one that can carry Soul Warden, and I've got no one that can really. I mean, I guess my Priest could carry Rights of War, so. But yeah, I need Soul Warden elsewhere in the battlefield. I think Soul War, like, people are always going to nuke your Sangre Guard. Like, if you're a Blood Angels player, you just have to expect your Sangre Guard are always going to get nuked. They're going to be smited. They're going to be um, any sort of power on them, doom, whatever, whoever you're playing against, people are going after the Sangre Guard. So anything, and like I said, there's no transhuman or anything for them. So the only anything that can make them more survivable, aka Soul Warden, is really important. All right, so this list I would maybe change up this captain a little bit. That's where this whole debate started. I think everything else is probably reasonably decent. I'm not the hugest fan of Plasma Inceptors myself, just because I think firing them on high power is pretty risky. It'd be okay if they did a mortal wound here, or if they took a mortal wound and they didn't die on a failed roll. But um, if I was going to run this exact list, I'd probably just run 3 attack bikes because it's the same points, and I feel like I feel like 6 multi-meltas and then like whatever it would be, like 12 Stormbolter shots would probably do about the same damage as the plasmas. So yeah, that's my opinion on all that. Everything else seems fine. Quake bolts on the eliminators seem fine. If you take the chapter master, though, I don't know if you need the quake bolts, because the quake bolts are going to give you +1 to hit. You already got the ancient giving you +1 to hit. So if you can save 1 CP here by losing these quake bolts and making this guy chapter master. And I don't think there's a huge difference between a squad of 7 and 6 Sangre Guard. I mean, Inceptors are a personal preference, James. If you like Inceptors, play them. My experience with them hasn't been great, so I don't play them. But yeah, if you enjoy them, play them. I would just say that I think Chapter Master is a really powerful ability. The ability to give the full rerolls out to somewhere that you aren't on the battlefield while you go somewhere else is really useful. And then, like, late on in the game, the captain can always give Chapter Master rerolls to himself. So, yes, he'll only have a regular Thunderhammer if you make him a more survivable captain, I guess. But regular Thunderhammer with full rerolls isn't bad anyway, right? Alright. Let's move on. Major Paint. And this will be the 5th list for today. Okay. He wanted to submit his list for criticism. The first thing I want to talk about is the rosters, the mission. Raise the banners high, Relentless Assault Blade. Blade of Sanguinius will perform with Mythiston. We're seeing a few people thinking that Blade is possible with Mythiston. I guess, I don't know if I agree that he's the best cutter. He's probably he's probably our most survivable character, yes, because he's transhuman, or he's Primaris, so he can be transhuman. You're most welcome, James. Secondly, at the beginning of the game, on the first turn, I'm going to spread as much as possible around the map with units on jetpacks so that I will occupy the flanks. The Centurions go into the centre, supported by the Sanguinary Priest. I want to add, I will take the first squad of Death Company to the reserve. The first squad of Death Company to reserve. Christian, thank you so much for becoming a member. I thought you were one before, but it doesn't matter. I do really appreciate it. Thank you very, very much. Since I will divide them first, alright, I need to see what he's doing with his Death Company here in a second. First and second rounds, I'm going to get as close as possible to the enemy and as little as possible to attack him, only in the counter attack. And the third and final round is Assault Doctor in turn. So he's playing sort of. He's going to play a little bit slower here to try and let Assault Doctor kick in, which is totally valid and it's a good strategy for Blood Angels. So you've got the Commander Dante as the Warlord. You've got the Sanguinary Priest with the icon of the Angel and the Selfless Healer. Okay. Assault Intercessors ×1. Sanguinary Ancient with Rites of War and Wrath of Baal. Okay, we're going to have to see a lot of jump units here. And then the Whirlwind, and that is the Patrol detachment. Okay. Second detachment is a Vanguard detachment, where he's got Mephiston, Quickening Wings, Unleash Rage. We've got 5 Centurions with Flamers and Hurricane Bolters. Obviously, the Priest can sit with them, I guess. We've got the Death Company, which he said he was going to split, so I guess he's going to combat squad them. Death Company can combat squad, can they? I don't know. I never run them in 10s. Literally ever. Blood Angels. Death Company Marines. I don't see combat squads. Am I missing it? I don't think they have it. It's a keyword, isn't it? Angels of Death combat squad. Angels, yeah, no, they don't have combat squad. Okay. Is this a 10? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So it is a 10. He said he was going to split them all. You can't split them because they can't be combat squadded. So that's important to know, I guess. And then you've got Sanguine Guard a 6, a 6, and a 6. But this squad is full of Power Fists, which is crazy. It's right there. I missed it. Where? Angels of Death, Black Rage, Armor of Contempt. I was going to say I've got my codex here. Death Company. No, they don't have combat squads. Not that I can see. Oh, you're messing with me? Oh, okay. Okay. I was going to say it's Sunday night and I told you I was feeling ill, but you thought you'd mess with me anyway. Okay, Danny. Appreciate it. I'll let you off. Alright. We've been seeing this big block of Centurions. For Darth Legion, yeah, indeed. What's he got that's giving obsec in this list? Nothing. Oh no, he's got the ancient with rights and wrath. Okay. 10-man Death Company, 3 Sanguinary Guard, the Centurions, Mephiston, Priest, Dante, Assault Intercessors. He's going behind enemy lines, he's going to raise some banners. And he's going Blade of Sanguinius. I mean, yeah. Oh, how do I feel about this? I don't. Excuse me. I think this is very. This is similar to the list that Chris Chance played, right? Let's bring it up. Because I interviewed Chris a few weeks back, and Chris did decent. Is it this one? No, hold on. Here's Chris's list. So Chris did pretty decent at the event he went to, but like at some point I think this list falls away. So what's different? So Chris he'd made it into battalion, which I think I probably prefer just for the CP. So he still had 3 Sanguinary Guard. He actually had 2 Death Company in the Centurions. So 3 Sanguinary Guard. I guess he has got 2 Death Company in the Centurions, but they're smaller squads, so it kind of balances out. He had a captain with Soul Warden. So this was talking about like high level players are taking. They're running Soul Warden and the Priest because we need that to try and survive. I guess this list has the Whirlwind that Chris didn't have. It had an Ancient that Chris didn't have, and I guess that Whirlwind and the Ancient is the reason that Chris was able to make it a battalion. Evening, Steve. How you doing? 5 ups. 5 ups and 6 ups feel like a weak defense, but that's what you get for being the first codex. It's the only defense we can get. Demon Hammer, and I mean, just last week or something on stream, I had to take 6 5-up saves on Mephiston on his Feel No Pain, and I passed all of them. So I mean, it happens. I felt pretty nice when I did that. I don't know. I wish I rolled saves like that when I go to tournaments. Apparently, I can save like that when we're playing casual games on stream, but can't save like that at a tournament. Yeah, so I guess the core, the 3 Sanguinary Guard, the 10 Death Company models, the 5 Centurions. That seems like a really strong Blood Angels core that is doing reasonably well if you combo it with Soul Warden and Selfless Healer. Now there's some weaknesses in here in that, like in Chris's list, he had nothing that would counter Fight Last obviously here you've got Whirlwind, which could potentially counterfight last, but then in Chris's list you've got quite a bit more OBSEC. Whereas here you've got less OBSEC, less guys around to do actions or hold objectives. I'm not really going to be able to comment objectively on this because I've never run 5 Centurions. I ran 3 Centurions quite a lot at the start of the edition. I didn't dislike the 3 Centurions. You know what, I was thinking about this the other day though. Centurions can't even transhuman. How stupid is that? You know, like they're the most transhuman thing that we've got. Big giant guys in armor, but you can't transhuman the Centurions. Yeah. I think there is play around a list like this. And I think obviously the Centurions need to be dealt with by your opponent, or they can just roll over you. I think you want, like, I guess you want the Priest close to the Centurions. Then you want maybe like Soul Warden with your other characters. Dice are evil and they know you're playing tournaments. Yeah, apparently. I'm going to invest in a chess clock though, I think. For my next tournament. I need to just force my opponents to use chess clocks because especially the tournament I was just at, you know, I was running a super heavy tank, so my shooting phase is literally 1 unit. Like I shoot the tank and then I move on. So it was like my turns were going very quick, but we still ran out of time in a couple of games. But anyway, chess clock, I guess, on the horizon. Rights of War, Wrath of Baal on the Ancient. I mean, I maybe be tempted to go. I was gonna say I don't know how you can fit Soul Warden in here because you definitely need Rights of War on this Ancient when you've only got the 1 OBSEC unit. So overall, it seems okay. Personally, I don't like. There's a few things about the Blood Angel secondaries I don't like. I think Fury of the Lost is the strongest one we've got, and I think you can potentially build into Fury of the Lost by building stuff like a Death Company, Dreadnought. My daughter's up again. I'll be right back. Relentless Assault you really got to be clever with, because sometimes it can. My daughter's going to grow up. She's going to play something, I'm sure, because she's always in here wanting to touch things. She was flying the storm, like, you know, I said to you guys I got this new storm speeder I was going to try out. She was like flying it around the room, like, and I was like, Annabella, that's fine, just you better not drop it. Iron Hands Refugee, what's a good amount of Sanguinary Guard to start with? 10, 12, 14. 2 squads of 6 or 7s. So you basically need to buy 3 boxes, Beaver. You can make an Ancient with the banner, because he's a separate unit, and then make the other guys, and then make like a squad of 6 and a squad of 7. So you probably need 3 boxes, and also magnetize the sword arms for sure, or you mainly want swords right now, but like magnetize their weapon arms for sure, because it seems like every edition it's like the swords are better, the axes are better, the swords are better, the axes are better, and like every time you make and also the power fists are just junk. But who knows, like maybe next edition Power Fists will be the way to go. So yeah, magnetize their weapon arms. Or live with regret like I have, where like I think I'm still painting Sangregar now, and I must have thought like 2 years ago I would never have to make more Sangregar. Yeah. Final thoughts then. I don't like Relentless Assault. I do and I don't like it. If you go first and the Death Company can jump forward and Forlorn Fury, then it's great. If you go second, it's not so good. And it kind of hedges you into like if your opponent's got like a transport or something that can outflank, then all of a sudden you find yourself having to throw way too many things into your opponent's deployment zone, which could be very dangerous. Blade of Sanguinius can also be very dangerous in that your opponent can just run away from you the whole game. And yes, you can say Mephiston's going to do it because he can fly, but what happens when you fail your psychic test twice in a row, even with the reroll? So, so Blade of Sanguinius is a tough. Like I've taken it in a few games, and typically I've scored reasonably well. But I've also like I scored 15 points in one of the tournament games, but it was also like a hair away from being 0 points because he just ran away from me the whole game. I caught up to him in turn 5 and killed him, but that could have gone either way, right? Um, so Blade of Sanguinius is a bit risky. Relentless Assault can be risky. So considering how easy some of the other factions are scoring secondary points right now, um, I'm finding those two Blood Angels ones a little bit risky. Fury of the Lost, yeah, that's what I was talking about before I went away. 3 Death Company plus a Death Company Dreadnought and possibly a character can make Fury of the Lost seem like our best secondary at the moment. My next list is going to run 3 squads of Death Company and possibly a Death Company Dreadnought. So I'm very likely to be running. I'm very likely to be running 4 Death Company, and I'm going to try Fury of the Lost. I've never tried it actually, so I'm going to try it a few times. Try Blade of Sanguinius with a full boss librarian. I mean, I guess again, does that not come down to if you go first? Because then if you go first, you're forward deployed. You've got a really good move. You can do it. Yeah, maybe. But like, you surely don't pick your Blade of Sanguinius. You must pick it before you know if you go first, right? How fast are Death Company Dreadnoughts? They're 6 inches. Yes, I'm thinking I'm going to reserve it. I used to love reserving the Death Company Dreadnought when it used to have the Magna Grapple, which gave you +2 to charge, which meant with the Blood Angels +1 you had +3 to charge, which meant like with the reserve you basically needed a 5 inch charge to make the charge with the Death Company Dreadnought. I think it was brilliant. And then they obviously changed Magna Grapple, which was very sad. Steve West says Death Company Captain on a bike with Teeth of Terror. I love it. I mean, I guess that could definitely kill a bunch of Marine models, right? But yeah, Mike says Fury of Lost is a trap. On paper, I loved it against top players. It was miserable because what? You didn't kill the units with the Death Company? Let me pull up Fury of the Lost. Where is it? Blood Angels. Oh, I think this is old. This hasn't been updated for the FAQ. Oh, it'll be in the Nephilim rules, won't it? Um, yeah, score 3 if one enemy was killed by Death Company, 4 if two, and then 1 for each Death Company that died this turn. Steven says, I'm a relatively new player. I'd like to Relentless Assault because I love throwing everything forward early. I never see turn 5. Alright, well, fair enough. I mean, I'm not saying you can't score points in Relentless Assault. I think you just have to be very wary of who you're playing against. Because, like, if you're playing against Sisters of Battle, for example, when I've been playing against Sisters recently, I have like 13 or 14 different units on the board. He has about 25, so he has 10 more units than you on the board. So if you have to always have more in his deployment zone than he has in yours, that can it can force you or it can hem you in a little bit on your thinking, right? That can just make it difficult. So I think you have to be very confident with Relentless Assault that you're playing an enemy that's unlikely to be in your deployment zone. They're a fast moving enemy with lots of units, like Sisters of Battle, like Harlequins, like Drukhari, or anything like that. Then you have to really think is Relentless Assault going to work here? And I think that's one of the. I was going to say, I think that's probably one of the challenges of playing as Blood Angels right now, right? Uh, Oh, no problem, Major Pain. I didn't know Death Company didn't have combat squads till we started looking at the list. Oath of Moment. I was going to say, Oath of Moment. Because you used to always be able to fall back on Oath of Moment, right? Or Oath of Moment. So you need a core or character within 6 in the middle. So you could possibly do that in this list with your priest. Your priest's going to hang out in the middle of the board with the centurions to keep them alive. Then potentially, Danny's just trolling tonight, by the way. Steven says Oath is a trap. I mean, I've played Oath for a long time. I don't think it's a trap. I think that Oath is a. You'll always score 8 points on Oath, right? Because you'll kill. Well, you'll fail a leadership test once per game, so that's 4 points. And then typically you'll kill a character, vehicle, and monster in let's say 3 to 4 of the 5 turns again. So you've got 8 points from Oath before you even talk about holding the middle. So if you hold the middle for a couple of turns, it's 10 points. It's a middling secondary, but it's for Oath, I guess you're never gonna. It's not like a 0 or 15. If you're struggling to pick, then I guess it's gonna usually score you 10, right? I feel like a secondary that scores 10 shouldn't be considered bad. It's just there's some factions right now that are scoring a little bit too easy. We might get a balance slate this weekend, or this week, sorry. The last balance slate was the 23rd of June. So if we go back to the 23rd of June, which was a Thursday, and we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So it's been 13 weeks since the balance slate. They're supposed to be every 3 months, so could be pretty soon. Our Devastator, how devastating are Centurion Devastators? They're not because they don't have core, Jacob. If they had core, maybe they'd be good. I mean, the only way you could make them good is run them with Gilliman. Because he doesn't, his aura for rerolls don't care if you're core or not. Okay, so this list overall I think is probably fine. I can't decide if I like your list or Chris Chance's Centurion list better. It's worth looking at both. I mean, they're similar. His is battalion. I probably like his just because he's going to start with he's going to start with actual CP. I suppose your list starting with 0, right? And I tend to enjoy CP, I guess. What do Blood Angels do for Redemptor Dreads? I think it's best to have the Macroplasma on one arm, the Onslaught on the other arm. The Rocket Pods, you can take it or leave it, and then run Storm Bolters over the Frag Storms. And Redemptors are absolutely fine in Blood Angels. The problem with Redemptors is the D6 shots. If they normalized that and it was like 2d3 or just like flat 3, honestly, flat 3 would be better than D6 shots because you can never really rely on how many shots you're getting from those plasma cannons. There's rumors of a Melta Redemptor coming, so that might. I was gonna say, ideally, maybe they can just sell the arms and we can replace the plasma guns with the Meltas, but who knows? Who knows indeed. You're more than welcome. Hello. If you're new here, please consider subscribing. We do Blood Angels content every week. Yeah. Okay. I do like these Centurion lists. I haven't run one myself. Am I gonna buy 3 Centurions and run one of these lists? I'm not sure. I'm obviously painting my Storm Speeder at the moment. I've added 7 Death Company with Infernal Pistols and Power Swords. I'm gonna add a Gladiator tank to test it. I'm gonna add maybe like a Laser Destroyer and some Voidsman at arms. So I'm actually tempted to run a list with 6 aggressors as well, or I guess 5 aggressors, because 5 would be 1 CP transhuman. I still have 3 Centurions in the box. I built my Centurions and I used them. I mean, if you see down here, this is a little Centurion hiding behind this image, right? Like, I use these Centurions. I can probably put it up, I think. Yeah, like here's my Centurion down at the bottom of the screen. Can I move it? Yeah, this was like I had Blood Angel Centurions painted and all that as soon as 9th edition came out, but I only ever tried 3 of them. I never went ham on 5 Centurions. I'm tempted to try 5 aggressors with a priest because they can get 1 CP transhuman. Just run, I'm going to try a few different things over the next couple of months. 5 aggressors might be a bit cheaper than 5 Centurions. Could possibly do same sort of thing. Did the words Gladiator Reaper summon Highland Phoenix? That's uncanny. Yeah, I mean, it is uncanny. Highland Phoenix has this thing. It's like I don't know, it's like something out of Star Wars where like anyone anywhere says Gladiator Reaper and then his phone like will announce that he has to log into that stream. Because he loves Gladiator Reaper so much. Good evening, Ridgecraft. How you doing? How will I get a Dreadnought into combat if I'm running a Death Company Dreadnought? It would have to be reserve, right? I've run 14 Sangry Guard and 20 Death Company, and I've tabled my last 3 opponents. Well done, Kevin. I run that, and I don't table anybody. I like aggressors a little more before of core. I guess if you were going to go Oath of Moment, that would be good for the aggressors, right? Core. I like them because they can transhuman as well, but I mean, on paper, when I used to transhuman Blade Guard, they still died. So I don't know if transhumaning aggressors will make any difference. They'll probably still die. How many of the flame ones have been running, Brew? You've been running a squad of 5 or what? I'll give it a whirl. I'm not entirely sure. So I think that is us in terms of army lists for today. It's very yellow. It might just be these glasses. No, it's very yellow. I could put on a light that would like offset the yellow of this light, but then I'm just gonna say and make it blue. very bright in my face. I kind of want to use the Death Company Dreadnought for kit bashing. I actually bought an Ironclad Dreadnought that I want to use at some point. I look tired. I always look tired, man. I got 2 kids under the age of 3. Trust me, I am tired. My one daughter woke me up like 10 times last night. I had no idea why she even wakes up so many times during the night, but she does. I liked it when aggressors could double fire if they stood still. That was so good. Yeah, I mean, aggressors' power fists is a bit lackluster because they're -1 to hit, right? I guess that's why Centurions are good, because they hit on 3s in melee, even though they're using those big drills. I might buy 10 Angel's Tears to use a double plasma pistol, Vanguard Vets. Those Angel Tears do look super cool, though, Highland Phoenix, don't they? Like, they're arguably, like, I actually like the ones with the Volcon pistols. They're just too cool. Angel's Tears Forge World. I'm going to put them on the screen in case anyone doesn't know what they look like. Yeah, the Angel's Tears, they're very, very cool, aren't they? So 5 near Priest, giving Chapter Master rerolls is nasty. Why would... Oh, I guess you would give Chapter Master rerolls for the Thunderhammer, for the Power Fists. A lot of people tend to run 3 squads of Sangre Guard, Kevin. Like, people see Sangre Guard as the strongest option. I'm going to give Fury of the Lost a little try, though. See how we get on with that. Angel's Tears would be so awesome for 40k. They would be. They would be like a vanity project for me. They're so expensive, though, aren't they? But they're so cool at the same time. Yeah, maybe you could make them with some sort of like third-party heads or Sanguinary Guard heads. The grenade launcher ones as well are so cool, right? Yeah. Alright guys. Thanks so much for hanging out tonight. I think I'm gonna do something different this week in terms of like tactics. I'm gonna build a new list. I'm gonna build it for secondaries. I'm gonna spend the next couple of nights trying to do it, justify it, film it, and then play it and either get smashed or do some smashing. If you did enjoy tonight's stream, I do always really appreciate it if you consider hitting that like button. It is very much appreciated. And I think I'm going to be live on Wednesday this week for a live game. I haven't got an opponent yet, but I'm going to speak to Brett tomorrow and see if we can get a new opponent. But yeah, I think the things that I'm leaning into are like Death Company with Infernal Pistols and Power Swords, the Storm Speeder, might even take another Land Speeder as well on top of the Storm Speeder, and I'm probably going to run the last Fusel Eliminators that I was working on. We're like 100 subs from 11,000, yeah, so we're creeping up there, Highland Phoenix. Slowly but surely getting there. And yeah, so hopefully be live on Wednesday night. And then there is the video I filmed with Steel Rain, so we're gonna get Steel Rain, the first of a new series where we maybe do videos with channel members. I don't know if people are going to enjoy it, but I thought it might be quite cool to put faces to names. So we'll see. We'll see. I'll release the Steel Rain video maybe this week, if not this week, next, and then we'll take it from there. I assume he was in full Sangre Guard cosplay. He was not, but he did buy me a. He did buy me a 70 cl bottle of bourbon that was 50.5%. I was like, dude, are you trying to kill me? I don't think I'd ever had whiskey before that was. It was 101 proof. I was like, I've heard of 100 proof. I'd never actually heard of 101 proof. I was like, fucking hell. He wasn't. He doesn't have to wear cosplay, I guess, because he bought me 101 proof whiskey, which is crazy. I prefer +1 to hit wound these days as a buff. Rerolls get turned off by 2 or more of the meta factions. That's very true. But then if you think about Harlequins, for example, Harlequins are turning off your rerolls, Demon Hammer, and they're also you can't use +1 to hit because they're like transhuman on to be hit. They can only be hit on 4s, right? But I did commission. I have ordered a Gladiator Highland Phoenix this week. I don't know if we're going. Well, I'm probably gonna get it made so it can be any of the variants, or at least 2 of the variants. So we may try the Reaper. We may try it. I don't know if I'm sold on the Reaper. I prefer the other 2 options. But who knows? Maybe the balance slate this week is going to drop the points cost on the Reaper 20 more points because fucking no one's running them still. And then I'll run it. And maybe the balance slate will drop. Battle Predators 10 or 15 more points because again, no one's running them still. And then I'll run some Battle Predators, and it'll be like 2nd or 3rd edition all over again, where it's just like I have a bunch of assault cannons and bolter fire, and then just jump units all over the place. That would be fun. That's the Blood Angels I remember, right? I used to, in 2nd edition, I think I used to run attack bikes, Battle Predators, and then Death Company, and I guess back then it would have been assault squads, but it sort of morphed into Sangre Guard. The Gladiator kit only makes the Reaper? Nah, it makes all 3. I'm sure it makes all 3. Balance data slate won't have points adjustment. Oh, that's true, I suppose. Okay, well, balance data slate, I guess we'll see what happens. Alright, guys. Danny's trolling me. My daughter's up again. I'm going to bail. I'm going to go deal with this. I'll see you guys later. Good night.